Yeah.
One thing I recently was reading about and listening to was on diet,
Hmm.
and I had listened to a podcast where that you had talked about diet, but I don't think you talked about it on the podcast. And well, like the person that was doing the interview said it was a really interesting part. So I was like, well, I wonder why they didn't just have it on the podcast. Um,
Oh
so
yeah. Was
what
it was it the training beta?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So because I think so she asked me about my diet and I was like, yeah, I like and it was pretty funny because like I also am not a nutritionist. Like I pick up a lot of things, but I'm like I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a strength and conditioning coach. So like
Yeah.
I'll like say things with like a kind of a little bit of understanding, and then
Mm.
I'll be talking to like a strength or conditioning coach, or she's a nutritionist, and she was like, actually,
Yeah, yeah.
um, and I'm someone that's like I'm very open about the fact that like I cut weight for comps and
Yeah.
like for projects. I like will go in a calorie deficit and I will cut weight for comps. And I feel like there's a big taboo in climbing about that because a lot of people do it unhealthily. And maybe what I do is unhealthy. I've definitely seen negative results from it. But I was like, yeah, like I think the World Cup was it was pretty funny because it was actually right before last year's Salt Lake World Cup, which was my first World Cup of the year. This is also an interesting stat. I'm going to tangent really quick. The last three Salt Lake, Korea, the last three circuits that I've done, so the last 4 years, I've made the first semifinal of the year and then not made a second semifinal all year. And they've all been in different locations and they've all been different World Cups during the circuit, um, which has been interesting. So it was like kind of a mental thing for me. But
And it's great for a goal because now you can just say, okay, my goal this year is to make
who said this?
that's it. So like, yeah, it's sometimes when people set goals, they just set them like way beyond, or maybe they're even in their capability, but they set goals at the limit of their capability, which
Yeah,
puts a lot of pressure on them to like, oh, like you could set the goal to I want to make semis in half of the World Cups this year. But
yeah,
it's kind of like, as much as I believe in you, that's unrealistic. It might
yeah,
happen, but that's kind of a crazy thing to think.
yeah,
And the chances of you failing at that are really high. So then you fail again, and then what position does that put you in? So it's way better to be like, okay, I want to make two
yeah.
this.
Just two. I just want to make two semis.
So the huge bonus of that is that every single next World Cup, after you make one, then all the rest of them, you believe there's a chance for you to accomplish your goal.
Yeah,
Like if your goal was to make half of them and you get halfway through the season and you haven't made any, then you'll just give up on the second half of the season, right? You're like,
yeah,
I haven't made my goal, well, and then who knows what happens. So
yeah,
I think it's really important for people to, hey, if I got 30th at nationals this year for like younger competitive climbers, my goal should be to beat 30th, to get 29 or
yeah,
28 or something really close to what you did just to improve though. But
yeah. Totally.
so many times somebody gets 30th at nationals and then they like see the podium and it looks like that there's this short distance between you and the people on the podium. But there is not a short distance between you and the people on the podium. Like it feels like you're not giving them enough credit for all the other things that they're probably doing that you just
Yeah,
have to learn how to do. And yeah, and
yeah. The
sometimes
difference between podium 30th and the podium is like first semifinal, and then in the semifinal is this three rounds right there: semifinal, and then the qual, and then the final.
yeah, it may be 3 years of like learning. And so
Yeah,
your relationship should be more towards like that the process of figuring things out as you have this goal, whatever your goal is, rather than like I I'm close now, I should just get it next time.
Yeah.
And another big thing is I should get it and just keep doing what I'm doing right now, which is like that doesn't make sense either. So
Yeah.
the differentiation has to happen by the thing that you do different than the people that are there. Because even if you do everything just like they're doing, then it's 50-50 shot that you
Yeah.
beat
That
them.
was something you said that is like still stuck with me forever. That was like one of the most impactful was like if you want to beat the people like the best, you can't do what the best are doing. Like if you want to catch someone that's been doing something for 10 years, you'll never catch them at the best. You'll only just track them behind them.
Yeah.
You have to do something different because
If
if you're
you're
doing the same thing, why would you expect better results or different results?
You may even get even with them, and you may have to do some of the same things. You may have to do a lot of the same things, but there has to be, you have to take a chance. You have to gamble on something that they're not doing that you think will have a big impact. Um, like even if you just gamble on becoming the greatest slab climber,
Yeah,
like being almost as good at them at everything else, but better than everybody in the world at this style of slab. And then
yeah,
you're just rolling the dice, like hoping, God, I hope I get that style of slab whenever it comes down to it. Because
yeah,
they may actually be better than me in general, but if we run into that style of slab, I'm going to beat them. And so
yeah. I mean,
there
that
always has to
happened.
be that
That
one thing.
happened to Nakaya. That's like Nakaya is a great example of that. Is like Nakaya is like really good at a lot of things, but she's the best slab climber.
Hmm.
Like the best slab climber. And like she's been going to World Cups and doing the thing, and then like she got a World Cup where like the slabs just mattered, and she made the final.
Yeah.
I think she made her first semi and then made her first final because she was just like that World Cup, the slabs mattered.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to, the tough thing is to balance like how much effort do I put in at being that best at this thing and how do I maintain the rest of the stuff. But
Yeah,
you do need a thing. You need a thing.
you do need the thing. I don't have a thing right now. That's my problem. Actually, I do have a thing. I've been getting really good at squeezing. I like uh the last year. It's been almost a year now. I've been doing a lot of I took a lot of what we were doing with crimping because it was like crimping was I felt like I was bad at crimping and so we just pulled a lot down on like the edges and I did a lot of crimping and then I became really good at crimping. Um and I neglected this position for like years and years, like almost my entire climbing career. And so this last year I've been like doing virtually no training on edges, just like haven't been trying to do one hand hangs, haven't been camp sporting, haven't been
Yeah.
doing hang pulls, like just been full, like just leaving the fingers alone and just focusing on like just squeezing holds. Um, I've been getting really good at it. I'm like really psyched on how much this has been like, and like a lot of the boulders I set, it's just been like,
Yeah.
and it's
I always said that if I was trying to cut the field like by 75%, I would just put pinches in a roof.
yeah,
Not like you don't have to. I know setting gets all into all the intricate like directionals and movement and combinations and dynamics and plyometrics and all this stuff. But yeah, I mean, if I go set pinches in a roof, I'm gonna cut the field in half for sure.
yeah,
Because mostly because no one wants to do that.
yeah,
If you
which
set a
is
boulder that has pinches in a roof, people will get on it and be like, I have to try too hard. And so they're like, I'm gonna go do one of the, I mean, climbing's fortunate that it has a dozen different movements that are fun. So if you have 15, 20 different styles that are fun, who's gonna want to climb pinches in a roof? Yeah. Well, if that's your thing and it shifts, um,
we're psyched.
yeah.
and pockets. I love pockets.
Nice.
But it's been nice because it's been translating a lot. Like
Mm.
the interesting thing about it is like there's so many intricacies in climbing, but you can really just break it down to like a lot. Everything really does just break down into like you can make it so simple and just be like, okay, well, like that's a pinch and that's an edge and that's a pinch and that's an edge and that's a
Edge,
jab.
slope, or pocket.
Yeah,
That's it.
like can you get your thumb on it? That's a
Turn them,
pinch.
turn them different ways and change the size of the feet.
Yeah, like where was your thumb? Like a lot of boulders can be turned into like, okay, well, where's your thumb? Is your thumb here or is your thumb here? That's a pinch. That's a crimp. The two things. If are you crimping the hold or are you pinching the hold?
Yeah. Yeah. So back to diet though, you said that you cut weight.
Yeah. So I've been cutting weight.
Well,
And when I was doing
I
the
want to
podcast, I
preface
was
it with
actively.
I want to preface it with the you remember I always did the intermittent fasting, right?
Mhm.
It was before it was intermittent fasting. It was called the warrior diet, which is a terrible name for something that is like really interesting. There was a guy named Ori Hofmeckler that wrote this book called The Warrior Diet. And basically, what it showed was hunter gatherers would not eat for days at a time sometime. Um, and when they would eat, they would kill something and then just gorge on it for like 3 or 4 hours at night and then go and sleep for a long time.
Yeah.
And so, and then they would eat little nuts and berries and stuff throughout the day, whatever. So, what I took from the book that I can still remember because this was like 20 years ago, maybe, is that he gave you a 4 hour window in the evening from 4 to 8. And mainly, always helped me manage my diet because I really love sweets. Like, I can eat a whole tub of ice cream and be like, well, I wish I had a little more ice cream.
Yeah.
But this created like a step-by-step plan because I like plans too. It's like, okay, for the first hour from 4 to 5, you load up on the like micronutrients, like all the vegetables that have all of your what you would get from a multivitamin, I guess if you took a multivitamin, but food-based stuff, which is way better for you. Um, So then you eat a bunch of vegetables during that time. And then in the second hour, you eat a bunch of protein, like meats or fish or eggs or cheese or whatever protein that you want to get. But maximize that for that second hour. And then by the third and fourth hour, you can have as many sweets as you want, which was the thing that sold me. It was like, go ahead and eat as many sweets as you want after you've loaded up on vegetables and meats and fruit. And so then I couldn't eat a tub of ice cream.
Yeah.
I could just have a little bit of ice cream. And sometimes I was just so full, I was like, I'm kind of happy and satiated. Um, so now they have all of these different protocols where I listened to a podcast the other day with um, Steve Bechtel and Mercedes. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but she's Modus Athletica. And they were talking about this intermittent fasting and having these 5 days on, 2 days where you don't eat breakfast, or they have one day where you eat a lot of food, and the next day you only eat 500 calories. And there's all these different kinds of fastings and stuff like that. And even as far as like 72-hour fast where you just drink water and it's supposed to like clean out your body and clean out your cells and clean out your digestive tract and all kinds of things. And there's supposed to be all these great anti-aging benefits and like mental uh I think it's anti-dementia benefits for fasting. So it's
Mhm.
just weird to me that I understand people in climbing get eating disorders as a result of connecting their high performance to their lack of food. But it kind of seems to me, and I'm not a dietitian and I'm not recommending anybody do anything. But if you have a planned fast or you have a planned caloric deficit, that can enhance performance, it's planned. That means you're not just not eating and then performing and not eating. It's like
Yeah,
you have a planned caloric deficit to slightly reduce weight, perform at your highest level, and then eat normal again.
yeah, exactly.
That doesn't seem like that big of a deal to me. Um, I just agree with it. So
Yeah,
through my whole 20 years of performing like at a high level at lots of different things, I notice for myself that if I have food in my stomach, I just don't perform as well. Makes me slower, makes me sleepier, has to do with insulin response, I'm sure, which might actually have to do with my family history of diabetes. And I don't know exactly because I haven't really looked into it fully. But when I eat, if there is a 1 gram of carb in whatever I'm eating, I just get sleepy and tired. It affects my work schedule, it affects my workouts. And a lot of people are not like that. When I tell people that I can freaking charge at stuff on an empty stomach, they're like, that's crazy. But it works 100% for me.
yeah. I'm
And
the opposite. I'm the complete opposite. I like I might have low blood sugar or something because like if I have to have a full belly to climb. I have to have calories and I have to have sugar. Like mostly it has to be like carbs and sugar.
hmm,
Um, like I'll and sometimes I'll eat just like if I just eat protein, like if I have like eggs and like cheese, if I just like cooking some scrambled eggs and some cheese.
yeah.
And I like go climb and I'll just like immediately feel like I can like I can like actively feel my body burn the calories and then just
Yeah.
be empty tank and I'll just be like boom.
Well, a big reason for that is because protein takes a lot of energy to digest. So you're going, and that's the reason why on an empty stomach works is because there's no blood in my stomach and like any stored, I guess I probably just store carbohydrates well.
Yeah,
So I have fuel to burn. But like anything that's in your stomach is going to take some energy to digest, and protein takes the most. So like
yeah,
if you eat I think I heard a number that if you eat like 200 um, calorie steak, it takes like 40 calories to burn it. So
yeah,
you're at 160 calories. But that energy like that it takes to burn it does take even if it takes 40 calories of energy away from your intention of climbing, where carbohydrates are not that way. They're typically, especially from what I understand, again, not a dietitian, um, they're made immediately readily available to burn as fuel.
yeah, yeah.
So,
They just immediately turn to sugar and
yeah.
yeah, that's what she kind of told me. She's like, actually, you should be eating more carbs because carbs are what you want to burn for like the amount of time that you're usually on the wall for. It's like, damn it, because
Maybe.
that was like my thing that I told her I was doing was like I cut out white carbs. I just like eat mostly just protein. I eat a lot of it depends. Like sometimes I've had it depends on like what my cut is because sometimes my cut come from like I just stopped eating as much and it just happened to line up with a comp and I was like, oh, I lost a bunch of weight and then I climbed really well, so maybe I should try this again.
Yeah.
But like that time I was like mostly just eating candy. I was like eating like candy and eggs, which I'm
And
not gonna recommend, but I was like, yeah, I was just like I
carbohydrates
wasn't
do help like the absorption of proteins once they're broke down. It does
yeah.
help them get into your actually where they need to go to heal the tissue. So that kind of makes sense. I kind of wouldn't recommend it, but I would probably recommend like fruit and
Yeah,
not
exactly.
not not what was your favorite candy?
Sour Patch Kids.
Sour Patch Kids and eggs. There it
Yeah.
is, folks. If you want to know what does it, what makes you a pro climber, it's Sour Patch Kids and eggs.
Yeah. Yeah, it was funny. I like yeah, I just like was I just really I lost my appetite, so I wasn't eating that much and I lost like it was like 6 or 7 pounds,
Mm.
and the competition was in like 2 weeks, and I was like, well, I guess I should just lean into this, and just like kept going, and I lost a bunch of weight before it was like 2022 nationals, and I was all gone because I just was like leaned into it, and then I ate a bunch after. But
Yeah.
um,
So what is the um that's an accidental one that
yeah,
you leaned into and that you probably could lean into too far and it probably could cause a problem. I'm not really sure on all of this because I don't have that experience. Like I want to eat really bad and it um takes a lot of willpower for me to maintain my fasts. So I don't know why people go in the wrong direction. And I always wonder if it's something that was like already there, um, that they were predisposed to having an eating disorder, maybe, or I just don't know that much about eating disorders.
yeah, me either. Yeah, that's
Careful to speak
that.
on it. All I can say is I think if it's planned and you follow the plan, then I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's kind of like the way I look at it too. Is like if you look at like if I you got to look at the how much weight can you lose without sacrificing health benefits. So like if I cut too much, then your body's just going to start eating muscle, and then if you spend 8 months building that muscle, like how much of that time am I willing to burn this muscle for?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to gain the weight back, and then I'm going to be weaker, and then I've got to work back this much to build all that strength again.
I think that's an important thing to understand that can keep people from going too far is that like when you're fasting, your body will just eat everything.
Yeah,
It will eat muscle, it'll eat tendons, it'll eat fat. Um, there are some things that you can do to prevent that, like when you're fasting, you can intake BCAAs, like branched chain amino acids, are supposed to slow down that muscle catabolic effect that happens whenever you're fasting.
yeah,
I don't know how effective that is, so I don't really want to go too far into that. But you could probably look into that and figure out when you manage the fast. And also like if you look in other sports, like for a climber to lose like just 5 or 6% of their body weight, like somewhere between 5 to 7 pounds in a couple of weeks leading up to an event. Um, when you see like the best fighters in the world in the UFC will lose like 20 plus pounds in a 4 or 5 day period,
yeah,
then gain it all back through a bag of fluids and be like somebody that's fighting at 155 will get down to 155 the day before the fight through fasting and dehydration, and then they'll be 170, 175, 180 sometimes when they walk into the ring the next day.
yeah.
So like
That's
that's super unhealthy, but these people are able to like fight for their lives.
yeah, exactly.
Super
The
unhealthy, dramatic changes in weight. So I think there are planned fasting protocols that can be an advantage. I don't think that's the silver bullet. So I wouldn't have people focus on that. But when you've done everything else and you want to just be a little lighter, I think it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, totally. That's the interesting one. Is like, and that's what I've thought a lot about. It's like because that sounds amazing, but then you think about it and you're like, okay, but they're fighting at 170, right?
Yeah.
Is the thing like they gain all that weight back. With climbing, you want to lose that weight while you're climbing, and so you need to be able to fight at your fighting weight.
Yeah.
You can't, you have your like you can't have your fast weight and your fighting weight has to be the low weight. Um, and so like I think the way that I like have approached it and thought about it is like if I can gain a little bit of extra love like throughout the training season and like the performance season and be like, okay, this is like the weight that I sit at. This is my heavy weight where I'm like, you know, a little bit heavier. You can't see my abs as much. Or like,
Yeah,
go,
develop strength, get more powerful, all this stuff.
yeah. And I'm like, that's like 150 for me. Like 150 something is like my like heavy weight. And I still climb hard and I can still like, I've done like some really hard things and performed well at 150, 155. And then 145 is like my like middle weight. And that's like the season, that's like the weight that I would do like the World Cup season at is like 145 ish. And then 138. And I've gotten bigger and heavier since then. So this was like a couple years ago. 135 to 138 was like my like fighting weight. And that's the like, okay, this like 1 month to 2 month period once a year or maybe twice a year depending on how long it is like that's my fighting weight. And so like the competition that really matters, I spend most of the year at 145, and then for one competition I like cut down to this weight and I fight at this weight, and then I go back up in either to 145 or to 155. um and that's my like heavy training weight, and I do all my like, if I can get into the position where I'm doing all my lifts and all my hangs and all my really powerful bouldering at 155, and then spend most of the year at 145, and then for like a month period get down to 138, 136.
Yeah, I would say you can't do it for a month, but
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
I think so. There's like, I feel like there's a taper period, right? Where you taper down to that, and then you would taper out of it.
yeah, but everything I know about it, which is not a lot, and I can't wait to, if I put this on YouTube, I can't wait to hear all the comments. There's going to be every nutritionist and every freaking goofball out there. You guys are idiots. Like this,
I probably am an idiot. I don't have a
and
degree in
somebody,
this. This is
yeah, yeah, we are. All
That's
right.
my opinion
We're
on
just
it. This
talking
is
about,
my
yeah, things that work
it's
for
just
us. All right. That's
my
it.
bad opinion.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, there's gonna be every person say like, you don't know what you're talking about, and then somebody else is gonna jump on them. You don't know what you're talking about, and it'll be a whole long chain of
And
nobody
it's
knows.
gonna go viral, and I'm gonna get a bunch of views.
Oh, I'm not ready for that yet. Actually, I'm still working out some things on my website. So we might not release this for a while if it has any chance of going viral. And I'm not interested in that either. I really just want to, like I said, my main goal is to just talk to you, learn about what's going on in climbing that's different than the things that I know in the last
Yeah,
years, and then see how that can help people. So
yeah,
hopefully, I want this video to help people and not be a viral video about fasting and all that.
yeah.
If you want to
I'll
talk to
say,
somebody
I'll
about,
say this is like tactics for, yeah, when you're trying to win nationals or do World Cups. And until that point, like if unless you're climbing B15 or 515, trying to win nationals or World Cups, it's like totally irrelevant because there's like so many easier things you can do. And I see people go down these routes in the gym all the time.
and even then, there's other options than short-term fasting. I mean,
Yeah,
there are people that don't do it that win.
yeah.
Right? So, I mean, what percentage, like people aren't always going to talk about this, but without saying any names because that would really piss people off and get this. No. I'm not interested in that either, but like of people that you know,
Hmm.
how many people talk about doing this? How many people, what percentage of people would you think very conservatively are reducing calories leading up to competitions and having success?
How many people talk about it?
Yeah.
One,
But I mean,
maybe two.
what percentage of people conservatively do you think are doing that? Because some
Uh,
people are winning without doing that.
20%, 30%.
Yeah.
The thing that I always think is funny is like
You say
when I
20 or
when I'm in the
30% are fasting for competitions?
to some degree.
Yeah. Okay. Well, see, that's the other thing. Like,
Well, maybe I would to like fasting versus like maybe even less than that. I feel like very few people are actively fasting, like do like this like idea of like heavy weight, low weight fasting. And I don't even know because like that's like something that you would never hear World Cup athletes talk about. Never. I've never heard like I've heard
But you can obviously see them.
yeah,
You
and
can see
they're
the difference
tiny.
between the way they look when they're rope climbing and the way they look when they're bouldering.
Well, that's the thing is they all look the same all the time, and they're tiny. And that's the crazy thing is like when I'm in the U.S. I feel like a really small dude. I feel like a small male. Like when I'm like in the U.S. competing in the U.S. circuit, when I'm at the gym, when I'm like just
You
living my
really
life.
think that people bouldering and route climbing look the same? You
Oh
don't
yeah,
you don't see the people that, well, in the last few years, I have seen people getting tinier for both. But
yeah.
I'm talking about over the last 10 years, you
Oh
would
okay,
you would
yeah,
typically see people that were a little beefier during bouldering season, and when the comp switched to rope climbing season, you'd see them again. And like a 155-pound person looks like they lost 5 pounds, 6.
yeah.
They look shredded during rope season and thin, and they look beefier during bouldering season.
So I actually haven't noticed that. What I do notice is like I notice the people that are unwell. Like you see the people that are like you're like this is a problem. You look unwell. This is not healthy. And then
And
you see
mainly,
the
just from my perspective, mainly the reason that it's unhealthy is because you think that's the answer.
yeah
You think that one thing is the answer, which is a dumb thing to think.
yeah
Like if a smaller portion of that thing was added to a whole strength and conditioning plan, then it might be healthy. But if
yeah
thinking that that one, like losing weight, is going to be the answer, it's just not going to be the answer.
no. Well, it's not. It just it doesn't last. There's no way you can maintain that for like and you see it too because then they get injured. Like you
That's the
clock
main
someone who
problem.
looks unhealthy and then the next season they're like tore something or broke something or injured or sick. Have like you see them like oh I've been having these like it's like yeah and they have their body starts to fall apart.
Yeah,
It's like
here's what I could
that's
do when I was healthy and getting all the nutrients I needed. Now I'm fasting, and that's eating up all my muscle and tendons and fat. And now I'm still trying to do the things that I used to be able to do with strong tendons, and I just don't have them anymore. So
yeah
that's the disadvantage. That's why you just can't hold on to that stuff. That's why when you said a month, I was like, I could see it for a few days for a comp, and then you need to get back to normal. And then if
yeah
you want to lose 4 or 5 pounds through like a caloric deficit while you're not training, there could be smart ways to do it. But again, it's not the magic
yeah.
silver
And
bullet.
this is like I think the important bit too is like um if you look at like so like if you look at like runners like long distance runners because there's a lot of them in Salt Lake City and there's a lot of like other athletes in Salt Lake City like these dudes are really tiny and shredded and just like um and it's not unhealthy it's not like they're all starving themselves it's just they're like that's just the body that you build when you do and I don't know anything about it other than I see them and I'm like damn they look shredded and there's a difference between um like there's and that's the other thing too with the World Cup circuit is like the dudes are tiny. Like these kids are when
Yeah.
I go to the World Cup circuit, I feel huge. Like I see photos of myself up against the other ones. I'm like, why do I look so big? I look like a gorilla. Like I literally look like a gorilla. And it's because like a lot of these athletes are just like shredded. And I think that's the difference too between like when I said like, 155 is like when I'm 155, like I have fat on me. Like I've got like a higher fat content where I just like eat more and I get like I build I'm just heavier and I have more to me. And then you cut down and you like get properly shredded. Like if I can like go into a calorie deficit, up the cardio, up to like all the things and get shredded for like a little bit. But then I also like to go back to the other one
it has to be so short term. I mean, you could just do the math on it because when you start going into a caloric deficit, you will get a little bit weaker. So
Yeah,
like if you get if you get 10 pounds weaker and you didn't lose 11 pounds, then that was stupid.
yeah,
But like if you can lose 3 or 4 pounds and still maintain your strength, then that's a benefit. But again, the reason why this isn't the silver bullet is because you're only 3 or 4 pounds stronger,
better. Yeah.
which is just
Here's the
not a thing to
here,
focus on.
yeah. Here's the new thing that I've been playing with is um I've been getting 5 to 10 pounds heavier during training
Mm,
with a little like so just depending on like I'm still playing with it, but like I started with ankle weights, just climb with ankle weights. I really want to get like a belt that's like 10 pounds and just climb with this 10 pounds on for like whole season,
yeah,
and then just take it off for the comps and just like get used to climbing 10 pounds heavier and then just take it off for the comp.
yeah. I wonder how many. The only problem is it would affect your like your skill, like your
Yeah,
movement. It will affect your movement a little bit. You'd have to like for the last week or so climb without it leading up to the comp just to dial in how to move with a body that didn't have 10 pounds attached. But I don't
yeah.
know if you could get like a suit, a 10-pound suit that it was evenly distributed all over your body, then that would be kind of the way to go with that. But
My thought is like the belt would kind of be the best one because the ankle weights are almost nice, but they kind of suck because as soon as I put my feet on the wall, I'm not 10 pounds heavier anymore because all of my weight is in my
yeah,
feet.
yeah,
And so it doesn't really matter how much my feet weigh because I'm just pressing on footholds. But if it's on your hips are your center of gravity. Your hips are like everything in climbing. And that's where like if your hips are just 10 pounds heavier, like you're it's yeah, I don't know.
yeah. I always tell people that their belly button is like this point. If they could, that's where they could have like a single point, and that point needs to be in the right place for all your hands and feet to work. So,
Yeah,
especially with coordination stuff, you're always managing your belly button or your hips. That's like the heaviest part. That's like the farthest away from your attachment points, your feet and your hands. And you have to make sure that's close to the wall. The closer to the wall it is in an overhang, the more weight's in your feet. But you're also managing it left and right. And so you have to think about instead of especially new climbers, they always think in coordination, left to right movements. They think, I need to just grab a hold of that hold over there. That's like their objective. They're like, I'm going to run and grab that hold. And they never think about, okay, if I grab that hold and the rest of my body, my belly button's way over here, how am I going to hold on to it? But if I
yeah,
grab that hold, my belly button's right under it, then I'm there. I don't even have to try to hold on to it because I'm in position. So I always just, and it's also easier to think about when you're running across a wall or running into a position to think about getting this center part. Where does that need to be for everything to work?
yeah,
Make sure that center point is right, typically right under the hold that gives you the best purchase, right? But if you think about, I need to use all my hands and my feet, I need to use everything to get my belly button right there, then you end up like using your whole body in one fluid motion and not like pulling or jumping off of one foot and leaving your hand behind. You need to think about using your 4 points of contact to get your belly button to where it needs to be. And if you
yeah,
can do that from your starting position, then your finishing position is usually, oh, I'm here. I don't have to squeeze anything too hard, or I'm not like barn dooring off of something. Yeah.
yeah. I mean yeah, that is like 90% of climbing, no matter how hard you climb.
So yeah, I guess you just need a really heavy belly button ring, right? You need to
Yeah,
bring that back. You got enough piercings, right? That's not going to shock anybody. Or it might. That might be your viral thing.
yeah.